Good morning from New York. My name is Jimena Perry, and in behalf of the International Federation for Public History, I welcome you to this Explorers event today. Today we have a unique, I would say, because it's the first time we have a scholar from Egypt. We have today with us Dr. Heba Abdel Salam. She's a public historian, museum educator, and digital humanities scholar whose work focuses on cultural heritage, public memory, migration, community engagement, and museum education. She currently serves as the language, literatures, and digital humanities librarian at the University of Missouri, where she collaborates with faculty and students on digital scholarship, digital storytelling, and interdisciplinary research projects. She earned a PhD in public history from Middle Tennessee State University, an MS in library science and graduate certificate in digital humanities from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and an MA in anthropology from the University of Central Florida. Her teaching experience includes appointments at Duke University, the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and Middle Tennessee State University. Her research examines the relationship between communities and cultural heritage, with a particular focus on museum education, public engagement, migration, and the preservation of cultural heritage in the Middle East and the United States. She has designed and led public history and community engagement initiatives in Egypt, Libya, and the United States, including nationally recognized museum education programs at the Mallawi Museum in Egypt, and projects that connect refugee and migrant communities to local history through storytelling, museum visits, oral history, and digital humanities. I have to say, Heba, that you touch on upon all the topics that really interest me, and I hope the audience who's going to see us also would be interested. Today, Dr. Abdel Salam is going to talk about three projects that she is doing or did. So please, the floor is all yours.
First of all, I would like to thank you for all the hard work you were doing behind this. We have the communication going since February, and you work so hard to make everything is amazing. So I really very happy for the work you're doing, and thank you so much. And it's an honor to be here today with the IFBH. I'm very excited to share my work, and let's start it. So, just a second. Yeah, this is the first, I don't know what happened, but was my first. Yeah. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. For some reason, okay. Oh yeah, okay. So before we started, I would like to show you this building. That's actually my favorite building, and it's Port Said, where I've been raised. And I love this building not because I used to travel there, I used to go there or visit it, or my family take me to a trip over there, or I have some nice memories with my friend. Unfortunately, not all of this. I like that museum because I never been allowed to enter it. Whenever I ask my family to take me to visit the museum, always the answer was no. We don't have the time. We cannot go there. The museum is not for us. The museum only for tourists. So I always walk beside the museum, steer, and imagine in my head that I am inside the building. I'm enjoying the collection, but this has never happened. But even the worst is that museum has been demolished right now. It no longer exists. We don't have it. And that thing made me really upset to see how that amazing building with great collection is no longer exists. People don't have the access for it. And why do some communities protect heritage while others feel disconnected from it? Over the past 2 decades, that question has shaped my work as a public historian. It has guided my research, my museum work, my community engagement initiatives, and my effort to understand how people connected or felt to connected with history. So today, what we're gonna cover today is a question that shaped my work, what make people care, and I will share the journey that has shaped my work as a public historian. This presentation begins with a simple but powerful question: what makes people care? Over years, this question has guided my research, museum work, community engagement. First, I will discuss my experience in Egypt and how public history helps strengthen connection between community and culture heritage. I will then share Malawi Museum project and public history method we use, including listing oral history, storytelling, and the participation. Next, I will discuss my work with the refugee community in the United States and explore how museums can become a space of belonging and cultural heritage. Finally, I will share several key lessons that emerged from this experience and explain why I believe that public history begins with people rather than artifact, building, or even collection. So, the central argument of my research became simple. Heritage survives when people feel connected to it. My first major realization was that heritage preservation cannot succeed without public engagement. Egypt processes exaggeratory cultural resources. Yet, many people felt disconnected from them. Museums are often preserved as a place for tourism, scholars, something rather than serving community. And now, that's where I started. That's Malawi Museum. You can see this image in the right side. This is before the museum has been stormed and all of its artifact has been looted. And the other photo is the left side. This is after the museum was been stormed and all of its artifact has been stolen or even damaged. 100,000 and 50 and 500 years of history has been damaged in just a minute. And that was sad. So many discussion was focused on rebuilding the museum. I became interested in rebuilding something else, the relationship between museum and the community. So public history began with listening. Before designing the program, I conducted an interview and oral history with local residents. My goal was to understand their needs, value, and interest. I really wanted to understand how my project can help them and connect them with their heritage. What kind of thing can interest them to come to the museum, to preserve a museum and save it for generation to come. So that's the type of oral history. I have these two people I met with. That was actually a farmer who I talked to him and asked him if he can visit the museum, and he told me there is nothing I can do in the museum. I'm a farmer. I don't understand that history. And I said, oh yeah, you are a farmer, which is great because we do have a collection about farming at the museum. And I would like you to come and learn about farming in ancient Egypt. but also I would like you to come and to share with the community about the amazing work you're doing. Without your work, we all will starve. So you have to come and visit us. And actually, he came with a group of farmers, and I created an event for them, and I gave them a certificate of the best farmer in Mania, and they were very excited. And the good news is later on, the director of the museum called me back and said, "Hiba, you know what? That farmer came back with his family, and that was success for me because he never thought about going to the museum, and now he's taking his family to visit the museum." The other lady on the other photo in the right side was a lady, and in the beginning, she was worried about visiting the museum. She said, "Oh no, I don't think I will come." And I said, "Listen, the museum is amazing. There is lots of things you can do." And I asked her, "What kind of thing? Like what kind of thing you can be interested in museum?" She said, "If a museum can offer me some new things to learn, like learning a new language or learning about craft." And I said, "Okay, what kind of craft you would like to learn?" She said, "I like jewelry." I said, "Okay, that's amazing. I can have a workshop about how to learn how to create jewelry." And I did create a workshop about jewelry making using ancient Egyptian tradition. And she was very excited to come and bring her sisters and brothers and even her kids. So that their speech really helped me to shape that program. So participants learned through making through storytelling, living history performance, and interaction, and they did not simply learn about history, they experienced history. So we did like the photo and the left side, it's me. That side is called Tunangaba. It's a Greco-Roman site. It's in Mania, Egypt. And I talked to the participants to visit the site. But before we enter, I told them a story about the site, and that connected them more with the temple. This is Butuzir's temple, and I told them the story about Butuzir's, and then when I talked to them about it, they became very excited to enter and see what we can find more about that person. And then I used living history, and as you see in the middle image, there were my team, which I will talk more about my team later on. But those my team is amazing students. And here we were performing a story about Nefertiti and Akhenaten. And the reason I choose them because they're actually from Minya. They are from Tel El Amarna, and Tel El Amarna related from Minya. And I want students to know, yeah, we are related to this history. It's a part of us, a part of who we are. And the last one is an archaeology, like the photo and the last photo. Oh, was a puppet show, and children always curious to know what's behind. So I used puppet show for them to keep their curiosity, and they learn about the actually history of Minya using this puppet show. So, and here is a fun moment. As I said, I did multiple projects. So one of the things we created is a multiple workshop for kids to be engaged in the museum and have hand-on practicing something they can learn. So we actually help them to learn about how to create a pottery. We have helped them how to create a jewelry, basket making, and textile weaving. So this is actually one of my favorite photo. This is a kid. She was so excited about creating that pottery. And the other photo in the right side as was me and those students. I were talking to them about archaeology because I felt like we should have a workshop about archaeology so students will learn about how we got to learn about all of this information and how we found all of these artifacts. So this is also was one of the workshop we created. That's my best moment in that project because in the beginning of the project, I only got 8 school to work with me. Other school was a little bit worried about working with that outsider who come from United States. But later on, everyone was excited to join the program. But the most interesting moment when I saw those kids who were stealing to the museum and looking at my team who was performing living history and keep looking at the museum, and that I decided to open the museum, allow them to enter, and I asked my team to give them a tour. But that moment reminded me of myself when I was stealing outside my museum and no one ever opens the door for me. So when I opened the door for the kids, I felt, yes, I was able to do that when no one was able to do this for me, but at least I was able to do that, make a change and allow kids to come to to enter the museum and learn about those collections. And by the end of the program, we created an exhibit to showcase the student work. And here is a group of kids who were engaging in pottery making, and those is a group of teenagers, and they were engaging in textile making. And the one on the right side, that was a governor of Minya who actually decided to came and support the work. And it was a lot of support for him. He did a lot for this project to succeed. So yeah. So what the change? Um, One of the like statement I really got and make me feel, oh yeah, that's amazing, is a principal of one of the school who came to the project and told me he is about 58 years old and he lived about 10 meters away from a museum. He never thought about visiting a museum. He felt like it's not worth it to go, so he never show up. But that program brings him to the museum, and that's changed his mind. And he said, "I promise I'll come more, and I'll bring my kids with me and my grandson with me." And that's the people who help with the project. Without them, there are uh, 4 students. They were just recent graduate from a School of Archaeology, and they were very excited about learning the best practice of public history. I believe without this team, I cannot do anything. And right now, they are keep doing the same thing we did, and we do it. They are doing it all over Egypt. So some of them work in Cairo, other work in Luxor, our other work in Dakla Oasis. So the work right now is keep going all over in Egypt. Another thing I would like to share before we move to the other project is that we do have lots, well, like most of us create some great project, but we never thought about sustainability, how we can keep the work going, how we can help this community. So for that, I decided to help the museum keep doing the work we had before. So I bought all, like they don't have any education tools that and or education department. So I helped them and I asked them, I got grant from my university and they gave them some money to buy some tools for living history for education workshop. I got them some like custom to keep doing as a living history work. I gave them some tools. I got them the wheel of the pottery so they can keep doing this workshop. I brought lots of things for the education program. So that for now, the program is still running. They still do this kind of workshop, and also I train the museum educator over there, so they was able to continue the work we have done while we were there. So now we're gonna move to other project. It's here, it's in United States. And my work shifted toward the refugee community. The context was different, yet I found myself asking similar question about connection, participation, and identity. So what is the challenge is not cultural heritage. If our challenging is not to preserve cultural heritage, what else we should care for? So what if the challenge is belonging? When people feel isolated, when people say they are not belonging to the place, how we can help them? How we can connect them to their new home? So to do that, I actually decided to work with a group of a scholar who focus in immigration studies. I also connected some organization like World Relief, who was very supportive. And then I applied for grant from Carolina Humanity, who was kindly giving me 50K to be able to conduct that project for refugee community. And that project I decided to make a museum as a space of belonging. As my previous work focused on heritage preservation, community engagement, through this project I began to explore a different question. How can museum help refugees feel connected to their new community? Refugees often arrive with cultural experience but face unfamiliar institution, language, social environment. Through museum visit, bilingual storytelling, and community center program, we thought to create a meaningful opportunity for refugees to learn about cultural exchange and belonging. So storytelling became one of the project's most powerful public history message. Actually, I did took a class in public history, and I did work with my QPI was a storyteller who has a 3 years of experience as a storyteller, and we found like that storytelling performing can be a great way to connect people with museums and heritage sites. The story has been told in different language, in English, in Arabic, in Pashto, in Farsi, and Dari. And that helps them, not only helps them to learn about the story, but also helps them to improve their language as well. So they catch some English words, and it actually, they told me now we catch some word, we can say tea, we can say, because of this story allows them to practice language as well. So I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna stop sharing this, and I'm gonna show you a story map I created for this project. So I'm gonna share again. Can you see my screen? Yes? Okay, great. So here in story map, I did explain the whole, like this is the whole story about the project and about its goal. I know we don't have much time, so I'm gonna just go quickly through a story map to show you what we did. So in that one, we have actually 7 trips. First one was to Durham Public Library and Book Harvey. And those trips help librarians to learn about library, what resources is accessible for them, what kind of classes the library at Durham offer to refugee, what classes for kids. The book Harvey offers them lots of free book, both English, and actually they have some book in Arabic as well, and Pashto and Farsi. So they really enjoyed that visit. Another visit was to Ackland Art Museum, and that museum actually located in University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. And the reason I took them to that museum is because the museum has an Islamic collection, and I want them to know that. Oh, we also wanted to keep connecting you with your own history. And the also one of the interesting thing about Ackland Museum is it has collection from all over the world. So all the refugees find some collection from where I come from. So I actually asked them like, oh, now you can have a time, explore the museum, and if you see a piece from where you are, just to come and share it with me. And they were very excited to find a piece from Syria, a piece from Sudan, a piece from Afghanistan. And then after that visit, I took them to the North Carolina Museum of Natural Science. And that actually was their favorite visit. They really love it and engaged with it. And kids was really excited about seeing all the collection over there. And then we went to Duke Homeland. And at Duke Homeland, they learn about the historical site focus on tobacco history and 19th century life And they did engage with that. And actually, one of the comment I got is like, oh, we are very excited to learn about American history. We did not know that there were American history. We thought America don't have a history. I said, no, we American has an history, and it's very amazing history. So they got to learn about that, the history of Durham as well. And I took them also to Greensboro History Museum, and they get to engage with the collection. And also there were an Italian collection. They were very excited to see Italian collection because they told me like the Italian collection is very close to our furniture home. So they were very excited to see that. Besides the collection from Greensboro as well. And then we wanted to Kerry downtown park. I just wanted to take them a park for one day, just for kids to have a fun. And our last visit was Durham Science Museum, and the reason of that is because I always conduct a survey after each visit, and from their survey, I got to see that they're really excited about Science Museum. I know they would like to be engaged more with Science Museum, so I decided to make the last visit to the Science Museum. Also, because the Science Museum in Durham is not free, and I thought like it would be even better if we can pay for their tickets so they can be able to access it. So here's some image for us. This is in the library where I was explaining to them what resources they can find at the library. Here is Dr. Brimster, my co-PI, and he was telling them the story in English. And I created some pamphlets about Durham so they can learn about where they come from. And that pamphlet include different things so they can see like it's actually in Arabic and English and Pashto. And here I was talking about the famous places, the famous historical places to go. They also learn about libraries, about places to buy food, things like that. We also used to tell stories. One of the story we told them in the first time that why the bird all say ooh ooh, and I actually used I used AI to create this image. It was cheap and didn't cost me much because in my previous project in Egypt, I hired people and it was very expensive. So that was very cheap to use, like very cheap for me to use AI, and actually did it very well. So it didn't cost me much. And that's our visits in Auckland Art Museum. That I was explaining the Islamic collection over the Islamic art collection over there to the community. Here's Dr. Brian Sturm, who's also like performing a story for them. And this is a generated image of the Secret of Tommy story. Also, I used AI for that one. Here is some image from their favorite visit. It's the Science Museum in Raleigh. They really like it. And what we did also, we had some games. So we asked them to find some collection. So this is a Syrian mother where her kids are trying to find where is this piece located. And here's a mother where kids, they were very engaging with the museum. That's actually a video. I'm not sure if it's gonna work or not, but anyway, it's not working. Here is kids also enjoying the museum. Oh, that's a fun part. I created because handout is mostly for adults, so I decided to do something for kids. So I used AI to create some image like these two birds. Especially, I thought like birds. I created that for two reasons. Because one of the infant, he was like 2 years. He loved birds, and he always keep saying bird, bird, bird. So I decided to create something with a bird. And also, bird is something connected to refugee. So I decided to create these comics. And this is a bird. That bird actually is from Middle East, and that bird, and that is a mother and her son, and the mother is explaining the history of Raleigh to her son. So kids really love it and ask me to do more of this. And actually, the mother said it helps them to learn English and to be very excited to see something like that. And this is us during the visit to Duke House. I was explaining the site for them. That's another image. That's us inside the tobacco factory. Oh, so now we were performing a story in Arabic, and that's actually my other team in Chapel Hill, and we were telling them a story about the big turnip. So actually, we forgot to tell the story in the museum, so we decided to tell them the story in the parking lot. So we did tell them the story over there. And here I use the generated image AI to generate that image from the story. And yeah, that's this is story as well. That's a video. And this is our visit to Greensboro Museum. And this is also another photo from the Greensboro Museum, History Museum. Oh, and that's my favorite photo. That's an infant from Syria, and she was exploring and touching American history. And this is another story. It's Stenganona. Because the museum has an Italian collection, so we decided to have a story from Italy, and we used the AI to generate the story for them. And that's our visits to Carrie. And actually, the good thing about it is during our visit, there were a Chinese culture performance, and it was a Chinese culture day, and they got the opportunity to actually engage with the current Chinese culture, learn about their dancing, learn about their food, learn about the multiple things. So it was good chance for them to learn about not only American culture but also Chinese culture as well. Here is a kid who was she was dancing, she was copying what the people were doing, like what the Chinese performer dancer were doing. And that's my team. So I always believe it's very important to have a team, and those most of those is like Arab American and Afghani American. So I thought like that team would be great to continue the work. And yes, until now the work has been going, and because my team still takes them to visit places, answer questions about the history of North Carolina, especially the Triangle area. Here's our final visit, and that to the Science Museum in Durham. And that's my youngest, my youngest participants. And this is a butterfly room. They were very excited to go inside and saw the butterflies surrounding them. Yeah. So I will go back to the PowerPoint. So what make people care when um, as I said, when heritage is threatened, we often focus on building, connection, and preservation, but deeper challenging is human. People can protect what they care about, and so how do people come to care? So there is a three lesson I learned from that project. First, participants learn how to navigate museum and cultural space. Second, storytelling supported meaning and making the language learning. Third, relationship becomes central to learning. The project demonstrates that museum education is not only cognitive, it is also social, relational, and deeply human. I had some comment from a refugee, and one of my favorite comment was this project succeeds in breaking our isolation. The other one was we only feel safe with you. And these comments change how I think about public history and museum education. I began this project interested in interpretation and cultural heritage engagement, but I left with a deeper understanding that belonging matter. Before people can participate fully, before they can engage deeply with history and culture, they must first feel welcome, respected, and safe. This project demonstrates that the museum can help create those conditions. So I got to also to learn that its public history is not only about knowledge, but connection, meaning, agency, and belonging. And this so how like public history begin with people, how if you want to start a public history project, we should think about people, how to connect them with that project, what things can benefit them from that project. What we cover today is heritage as a relation, not simply a collection of objects. Public history begin with listening, oral history, and storytelling build a meaningful connection. Museum can serve as community space. Learning become more powerful through participation and experience. Belonging encourage engagement and learning. Public history creators connection, meaning, agency, and belonging. The takeaway of this is people protect what they care about, and people care when they feel connected. Thank you.
Eva, thank you very, very, very much. This was really awesome. I would like to open since there's only four of us, I would just encourage you to open your mic and jump in if you have questions. I have questions, but I want to wait to see if Olwen or Rhonda have questions first.
Yeah, I just want to say that was absolutely fantastic. I really, really enjoyed it. And I love what you're doing, connecting the Middle East experience, in your journey then to what you're doing now in the US. I just think that theme of journey, it runs through everything you're doing, your own journey, but also that of the refugee communities you're working with today. Um, I actually started talking and I don't have a question, but I just wanted to say well done and thank you so much. I guess one of the things I've been working on here in Northern Ireland with the team at the Ulster Museum, we have a folk park, and it was just when I saw the homestead in particular, it made me think of our folk park, which sort of it's an open air museum that represents life in the sort of mid 20th century, so farming communities and the sort of cottages that people would have lived in. But they also have a lot of objects from a long time ago here in Northern Ireland. And one thing we did was to bring refugee communities together into that space and actually use objects that really connect people. So things like something people would have used to cook with or for entertainment, that regardless of where you're from in the world, it's something we all do. And I just wondered to what extent, it's really interesting to see you taking people to museums. I just wondered to what extent objects might become a really important part of that engagement process for you.
Yeah, I think I did the same thing when I sought to take them to Aklan Museum because usually refugee they are homesick. They miss home. They need something to remind them of home. So it happened in multiple museums. Like when I took them to the Aklan Art Museum, when they saw like some object from Syria, they were very excited to say, "Oh wow, there's something here from where we come from." They were very happy to see it. They got to learn about it, take photos. They were very engaged and happy, and they decide to come back to the museum because they feel, "Oh yeah, this is piece from where we are come from." So I think something from where they are from, or even something similar, like because the same thing happened in the Greensboro History Museum. We have actually Italian collection, but an Italian furniture. But the Italian furniture is very similar to furniture in the Middle East. So when they got to see similar collections, they were very excited. Yes, we used to have this piece. I used to have this piece. They're very excited. I'm very happy. So whenever you find something similar, something related, that. And another thing is also, I could say, beside the collection, is the language. Because the language is the most challenging. If you talk to them in English, they will never understand. But when you have someone who speak in their own language, that would be amazing because they were engaged more, ask a question. Sometimes I like if like I don't speak their language, I ask them to use their phone, but it's not like when you have people like ask them to use Google and Google explain. But I feel they lost their engagement with the piece when they keep looking and reading. It takes time, Shannon. So, but when there is someone can help them interact quickly with a piece, they'll be very happy to learn and easily learn. So yeah, does that answer your question?
Heba, I have two questions and a comment. Oh, I'm sorry, Rhonda, please go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, please,
This
please go.
this was great, Heba. Thank you. It's so exciting to see all of the work that you and your team has done and connecting these ages across ages and cultures. It's really amazing and wonderful. And I have sort of from the administrative side kind of question is how do you get buy-in from the administrators, like the principal, to get the school children involved, and the organizers of other groups and stuff that you're wanting to have people involved from? I mean, do you go with an idea? Do you how do you get that buy-in to help support your development of these programs?
That's actually a great question. On the end, like, well, you'll usually public historian need connection. So connection helped me a lot. So when I went to Egypt, it wasn't easy for me to work in a museum because I need to have a permission. And even like here is even easier in United States, but in Egypt it require lots of paper, lots of things. But do have a connection with the museum sector. So when I went to her, I explained the idea of the program to her. She was happy. She gave me a permission, and I got my permission quickly in 2 days. And then when I want to work with the school, I actually don't have a connection with people in Malawi, but I went and I introduced myself and I introduced the idea, and I create actually like a description about it, like the goal, what we need to do, how this can help the students. And when the director of the school the principal read my description, he was very excited and he said, yes, I'm happy to support that. And I went to multiple schools, and there 8 of them was very excited to connect to their students and their teacher with our project. Other was not, but in the end, when they hear about the project and feel like it has a good reputation, they start to send it to their teacher and their students. So I believe it's very important to build the connection before any project. Like connection is very important. Like right now, when I work in my future project, connection helped me because people can lead you to other people. So my colleague was able to connect me with someone in the State of Historical Society and connect me with someone as a library. So connection is always important to do that. Thank you. And thank you so much for coming here. It's really, really meant a lot to me.
Thank you. My question was similar, actually, but a little bit broader because you mentioned you take groups of refugees and people to the museums, but how do you decide which? Because there's a lot of refugees. How do you decide which ones are you taking? And I guess you answered that a little bit when you talked about connection. But can you also elaborate a little bit more? How do you decide which people are you actually taking to the places?
That's a great question, actually. And thanks to Brian, he's not here today, but Brian is my co-PI. We together went to the World Relief Organization and we told them we need like a diverse group from a refugee. Like we don't want them to all from like Syria or Sudanese. We need like a diverse group. So they actually ask us to come to the organization because the refugee come every Friday and have some English classes. So Brian and we went to their class. We gave a presentation. We created handout explaining our project. And when we did that, many people, more than 40, I actually had about 42. I forgot to say that I have about 42 participants at that project. And many people was excited about like being part or join the project, but actually World Relief help with that. So actually World Relief is the one who's like help us to find the right people. But I met with them and I saw who's excited. Some people actually was hard for them to come because they have work. So I saw who is very excited to come, and for according to those who are very excited to come, I let them go. And sometimes like I let some, like let's say for this week I'm gonna take this family, for the other week I can take this family. I always was able to have about 20 participants each time. But it's also depend about their needs, not me only. Like some people is available, other wasn't available. So I had about 20 people was mostly available each step, while there are some people go back and forth. So yeah. So I hope this is answer your question.
Yes, yes, it answers, and it also makes me think that this project has a really good reception. There's no, because I'm thinking that I mean in the climate that we're living in the United States, that perhaps it could be a little bit of resistance, but it seems that it's not, that there's no resistance, and that's really encouraging. The other thing I wanted to comment, it's more a comment, is I was very struck when you mentioned that one participant said, "Oh, Americans do have history." That was really telling because that's what Americans. I'm not American. I'm Latin American. There's a difference, but I'm very struck also when people. I mean, when Americans take for granted other people's stories, and this is saying that that happens both ways, and that kind of conversation that happens there, it's really really interesting and leads to other things. So that's struck me very much in a very very positive way. I was like, okay, that thing of being the center of the world doesn't apply. Doesn't apply because there are other centers of other worlds. And I think that's really, really, really powerful. And I really liked, well, this is a very silly thing, but I really like the how you used AI for your project to create the images, how to avoid like extra cost and stuff, but also showing how AI also can be a friendly tool to use, because that's also something very, very scary. And before we started the recording, we were talking about AI and digital humanities that can also be like challenging right now. So I really appreciated that a lot, a lot, a lot.
Thank you.
Also, I'm sorry, I was excited about the presentation. Also about the museum part, the whole how you treat museums as learning spaces, connection spaces, also is very refreshing. Again, thinking about the climate, the political climate we're living in the States that you're already aware of, that museums should only teach and show one kind of history. There's some exhibitions going down because they do not fulfill the government expectations, etc., etc. So this project also becomes a really focal point to show all the potential that museums have, and public historians should be doing in climates like this. So that's it's like encouraging. It's like motivational thing for me. So thank you. This was really exciting.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your comment, and I'm really glad I was here today and I was able to share that work. And as I told you, it was the first time I shared my refugee project. Yeah.
The refugee project, I think it's really timely because I mean the refugee crisis in the world is not stopping,
Yeah.
and the numbers are increasing, and it's really something to to look, and I don't know what's going to happen if the trend of political right wing, not only in America but also in Latin America and other parts of the world, keeps going. People are just being displaced, and that's something worrying. And it's related to a project I'm working about diasporic public history. So maybe that's why also I find it so fascinating. So thank you very much. This was really awesome. Um, Heba mentioned that she has an article that she would share with us. So if Rhonda or Owen are interested, I can receive it and then resend it to you. And perhaps when I circulate the video, also make that reference, if you agree with that.
Thank you.
Heba, is there something else would you like to add or
No,
call
thank
your
you.
attention on or mention?
Thank you so much. I just really appreciate you giving me this opportunity to share my work. And good luck with all your project. And thank you for everyone who takes the time to come here today and support me. Thank you all. And thank you, Randa, for all your kind support you're giving to me. Thank you.
Olwen and Rhonda, do you have any extra comments, final remarks?
Just want to say thank you so much and all the best for the work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hebe. That was great.
Thank you.
Thank you. So